After the break, it's called the happiest place on earth, both for Disney World's visitors and its employees. We'll talk to the author of a book on Disney University, the company's famed training program. If you want to work for Disney, whether it's a theme park, a cruise, or a property, you have to go to Disney University. It's a program that's been around for decades. Its creators say it turns out loyal, hardworking, engaged employees, and other companies could learn a thing or two from Disney U. Doug Lipp is the author of Disney U. Great to have you with us.
Hi, Amanda. Thanks for inviting me. Thanks, Kevin.
So let's start with the idea. What was the notion behind creating this kind of very formalized training process that became known as Disney U?
Well, Walt Disney hired a man named Van France, whom I write about, and he said, we've created the infrastructure, the rides and the facades and the buildings to create the happiest place on earth. We just have to populate it with people now who are friendly, and that's up to you. And that's really the beginning of the whole thing.
I've listened to many Disney executives speak about their culture, and they give one metric to investors that I find interesting. If it's important, measure it. And so the claim to this university is you can actually measure the results of people you put through it, and you find that you enhance their experience and ultimately the shareholders' experience. Did that hold true when you did your work on this?
Oh, exactly. And one of the measurements, Kevin, is turnover. If you have a lower turnover rate of employees, then you have to invest less money to bring new people on and rehire them. So that's one of the most important metrics. And also for the guests to come into contact with employees who are smiling. So treating those guests, those employees as the most important guest is the first and foremost objective of the university.
Engagement, having employees that actually are connected and care about their jobs is the holy grail of any business. All companies know they want it. They want employees who are happy and with it. It seems that Disney does get it. And so what could companies take away from this? I mean, it's sort of kind of mother's milk and apple pie to say that you want employees to be treated the way they would treat the customers. But what do you actually do for, say, IBM or Nike or some other business that wants the same thing?
Well, Amanda, that's a really good question. And regardless of the size of the organization, oftentimes people will say, well, if I were Disney, I'd have no problem with that. But really what it boils down to is, are you capturing the hearts and the minds of your employees? And it's not just the training program, it's not just Mickey Mouse, it's acting and saying and doing the same thing. So when we would train employees at Disney University that teamwork's important and picking up trash is important, the message would really be cemented in when they'd walk into the park an hour later on the job and see executives picking up trash.
Now, I'll disclose to you, I am a Disney employee. I do some television work for them. And here's a concern I have I'd like you to answer. It's such a huge infrastructure. The cultural metrics are so defined. I'm told basically what to do. Are they nimble enough to make changes as the society around them change quickly now, as we saw in the last presidential election?
Yes.
Very Hispanic, for example. Can Disney fine-tune that fast?
I'll give you an example of that, Kevin. When Disney California Adventure opened about 10, 12 years ago, one of the first things that the Disney organization did was change the grooming policy, the vaunted Disney look, to allow male cast members to have facial hair because of the preponderance of men in the Hispanic culture to have mustaches or beards, realizing that if we're going to hire and hold on to employees from this background, this cultural background, we as an organization must change.
One of the big challenges a company like Disney that's very customer facing, and we're not just talking regular customers like any retail operation, we're talking about customers that are hot and tired and waiting in lines, is how you keep your employees actually coming back to the well of how you treat people well, because let's face it, people can be really badly behaved.
Well, one of the things is to work hard and play hard, and that's the cornerstone, I think, of any organizations recognize the reality of what the cast members or the employees are going to go through. So one of the first things that Walt Disney did and Van France did was, let's make sure that we are having a good time ourselves, because if we expect our public to have a good time, how can they if we ourselves aren't having a good time?
What kind of management actually runs this portion of their organization? Because it's a huge infrastructure. Does this report right up to Iger? Or is
you've
it
only got about 20
down in the
seconds
cultural element? We only got 20 seconds.
Yes, the university has the Disney Institute, which is a public side, which all of us can attend, and the university is the private side where only employees can go. And yes, it goes all the way to the top, and the executives all go through orientation as well.
Fascinating. Doug, great to have you with us for this.
Thank you very much.
Doug Lipp is the author of Disney U.